Rated Gen Z, where real talks get real. Each episode dives deep into the minds of 18 to 24-year-olds, exploring their dreams, struggles, and perspectives that most people never hear. We're diving into the chaos that defines a generation everyone talks about, but nobody actually listens to. This isn't just a podcast. This is a generation speaking. Welcome to Rated Gen Z. I have my guest here, John, who, are you in Maryland?
I am in Maryland.
Okay, so we were neighbors. I lived in Virginia. So we were neighbors for a while. But I have John here who is going to share with us already something that he's doing, which I'm shocked. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and we'll get right into it.
Nice to meet you, Raquel. My name is John. I own and operate JJ Renovations, and we are basically a general exterior contracting company. That's what we do.
How in the world, because you're 21, right?
Yep.
So you said you've owned and operated it for 7 years? Is that
No.
Okay. I was like, wait, how did that go?
So I started in the industry 3 years ago from sales. I met a guy, and he pulled up in a brand new Ram 2500 pickup truck, and he had a Submariner Rolex on, and we were looking at buying the same motorcycle. And I was like, "What do you do for work?" And he told me, "I do insurance restoration sales." So after I met him, kind of, went to the office, did an interview, got on the sales team, and then just learned, the industry, and then was like, "Hey, I can do this on my own."
I respect that a lot because I myself watch certain podcasts, and one of my favorites is Jay Shetty, and he had a guest on about becoming wealthy, and she was saying that the top billionaires in the world are actually in industries that no one would ever think of, really, like they're not very glamorous. And a lot of them were like vending machines, insurance, roofing. I think she mentioned that the wealthiest woman like owns, I think, like some kind of I think roofing company.
So
But
yeah, you're right.
yeah, am I right? Okay, yeah. So I think that that's incredible that you actually said, you know what, I want to make money. So what's going to actually make me money?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. So yeah, I mean, it is it's a journey. I feel like there's obstacles, but the most beautiful thing about it is, taking that risk and being able to tell yourself, hey, we got a life to live, and we only live once.
But see, the fact that you're taking the risk, I feel like my generation, we weren't as risky. And I feel like as I'm talking to a lot of you, you guys really are risk takers. You guys really understand that like there is only one life and it can be short, unfortunately. So the fact that you're taking that to heart is incredible.
Yeah, it's the most beautiful thing. I'm blessed by the Lord. I mean, I wouldn't change anything about it.
So for someone that's like listening in and wants to, kind of follow your footsteps, like how did it even begin? Because if it was 3 years ago, you're 18 years old. Were your family members, were the people, friends really supportive, or were they kind of doubting you? Like I'm curious to know like the beginning.
When I started and I told my mom that I would be making 50% of the profit of the jobs that I was going to be bringing in, 50% of the revenue of the
Yeah,
profit, she was like, "You're getting scammed. There's no way that this is real." And
too good to be
my
true.
whole family laughed at me, and they were like, "Whenever you get your first commission check in, then let us know how it is." And then
Yeah.
my first commission check came in. It is ever since then, they've even continued to doubt me when I started my own company. It's been a constant sea of doubt. But what I will say is, everybody who was in the positions that I wanted to be in told me that I was making the right decisions.
Really? Okay. So you
Despite
have
what,
like a mentor essentially.
yeah, 100%. There's at my old company, I won't say his name, but he's taught me everything. He took me out in his truck, and we went out there, and the thing about sales is that I was introduced into it in a 1099 aspect rather than a W-2 aspect.
Yeah.
So I was using my own car. I was getting paid. I had to save my money to pay the government my taxes and all these different things that at the time I did not understand. So he was there to help me learn the industry, but not only help me learn the industry, help me set up things to where when taxes came around the next year, I wasn't going to be fucked when
Yeah.
I looked at my bank account and I didn't have enough to pay the
Yeah.
IRS.
Yeah. Believe me, I effed up and my with my W-2 because when I moved from Virginia to California, I changed my address and everything and my
Right,
residency here in
right.
California, but I guess I was supposed to like fill out a California tax form. And so I was getting taxed like I was living in
Double.
Virginia. And so then when I filed the California, tax franchise state board, whatever you want to call it, like I get this letter of like, hey, you owe us taxes. So I did pay them. I went ahead and paid them right away, but I was like, that's such a bummer. Yeah, so even at my age, like I'm still trying to figure out how that all works. So the fact that you had someone like explain it to you, like from the beginning, that right
Well,
there is
the
like,
biggest
woo,
thing is about sales is that we come into it thinking, hey, it's the same as getting paid W-2, that this is my income, when really it's the income of your business. And then you're supposed to have owner's allocations from that profit to
right.
you. And if you don't set that up correctly, you're going to end up spending money that you don't have because you see that large number.
Yeah. So do you actually like give yourself a salary, like a certain amount, or do you base it on your revenue?
So I base it off of my revenue because it keeps me focusing on. There's a book called Profit First. It's
I've heard
called,
of it.
it's by Mike, whatever, I forgot his last name.
Okay.
But most business owners, they go through business thinking, this is my income, then it's my subcontractor pay or materials or cost of, sale. Then it's overhead, then it's general expenses, and then my profit. But then what ends up happening is we have one bank account that we are spending all this money in, and we end up overspending what we actually have. And the profit first system, what it does is we end up allocating certain percentages to certain bank accounts so that when we funnel through our general expenses bank account, we can realistically see how much money we can afford to put towards our general expenses for the business. And then my income is completely separate from that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I pay the business profits. After I pay the business profits, I pay what it costs to have the job happen. And then I have my 5% owner's allocations. And if I were to bring other partners on, that's what it'd be a part of.
Yeah.
And then my taxes account, and then my general expenses account. And what that system, I don't mean to talk too much, but what that
No,
system,
I love hearing. I'm learning so much. Please
what
keep
the system
going.
ends up doing for people is if you end up getting to that general expenses bank account, the last one, and there's no money in there, that
Mhm.
means that you can't afford your expenses. That means you have too much overhead. That means you aren't running a profitable business, as profitable as it can be. So
That's smart. Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of focus on like how much money am I going to make, not realizing that at the end of the day, like you could be making a lot of money, but if nothing is going back into your business, what's the
you could
point,
be
right?
making a lot of money, but 7 months later have no money in your bank account and be telling yourself that you're putting that money back into your business. But realistically, you're just taking profits away from your business.
Yeah.
We think of investing back into our business as, oh, let's get all these different things, CRMs, different, people that can help us out. Let's pay all this money to make us think that we're going to grow our business. But then we end up thinking that we're exchanging money for value. But realistically, we're just in denial of the realistic spending that we aren't realizing that we're spending. It's a lot easier to spend $500 multiple times with a $50,000 bank account than it is to spend $500 when you have $500 in one bank account.
Yeah. It's so true. And I'm guilty of that where I'm really bad about knowing where my money's going. Like I'm that person that like has subscriptions that don't realize that like or
Exactly.
yeah, like I do the typical like I give money to several like large nonprofits like Save for Children, Doctors Without Borders, and I do that monthly thing where they just take it out of my bank account and you forget and but that's still money that adds up and at the end of the day like I just have to be better about it. And I'm so glad that you mentioned something because after this call, I'm gonna like go in there and I'm gonna have to, I've been better about like trying to cancel things that don't make sense. But yeah, it all adds up. It's wow, I love that you're so knowledgeable about it at your age because there's plenty of adults that are your age, that are my age, that are still trying to figure out how to even like budget, period. So, John, tell me, what are your goals for 2025? I'm not a big goal setter, but I'm assuming that you are with just the conversation that we've had. So I'd love to hear what they are.
So when I originally left the company that I was with, you know, there was systems and operations that I realized that were not benefiting me as the rep. And it was to a point where the old company that I was with, they had a system where every single month you had to get 15 contingency signs in order to get that 50% profit. And if you didn't get those 15 contingencies signed, you would make 25% of the profit. So
Ugh.
what ended up happening was every single month when this 15 number reset, all those jobs that we had gotten signed that were going to be 25% installed, we stopped focusing on those because we thought, why would I spend time on a job that would give me 25% when I could spend time on a job that would give me 50%? So what
Mhm.
ended up happening was our pipeline would grow and grow and grow. And all these homeowners that were confused of like, what's going on? Why is nobody talking to me? And it wasn't just me. And I was leaving over $1 million in revenue sitting in my pipeline because I was caring about the profit percentages I would be making off the job. So
Mm.
now what I do is I have a system where I can bring young individuals like myself and turn them into six-figure earners within 6 months by going out there and knocking doors and then learning the information to then close those doors and train other people to do the exact same thing. I created a system where I can turn 18 to 25-year-olds that are looking to make money and change their life into six-figure earners through my process.
Wow. So you truly are a very young entrepreneur.
Yep.
My goodness. So where did this ambition come from, this drive?
Um, I just enjoy being a part of people. I mean, it is so beautiful to just hang around family, smile, and not have to worry about things. It's beautiful to have, the accessibility to freedom. And I feel like everybody chases that somehow.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because people talk about entrepreneurship, how it's like a 24/7 job, but the way you just explain it is it's like giving you freedom to be able to spend time with your family and friends and enjoy life. So, I mean, are you really good about balancing then? Like, are you good about like, okay, this is t time dedicated to my job, this is time dedicated outside of my job? Because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, especially at your age, like they might not understand what it means to have, and when I say balance, it's never 50/50,
Right.
but a balance that's healthy for that person.
I
Like, how do you
think
do
that
that?
I think that whenever I think that the real thing is that the magic you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding. And realistically, we all have time for everything, but the things that fulfill us and make us happy are different from person to person. So there's so much time in this world to do this or do that, and I feel like I put my time in towards the things that I value. And
Hmm.
it's more or less that when it's very hard to manage your time around family and friends if you don't have that time to expenditure. But if you have free time, then you have free time. It's just about the systems and things that you put in place. At
Yeah.
some point with your business, you're going to have to put 24/7 of your time into it. But once you build correct systems in place where you don't really have to, then you don't really have to. It's not more or less like about, what time you allocate to it. It's more just like how much time you have
Yeah.
all the time that if I had 24/7 to spend with my brother and travel the world without caring about a thing, I would do that. And then
I
when I'm
think
done
we would all
traveling,
do that.
exactly. But I don't have that time right now. So I want to do things in order to create that time.
Wow. So, I mean, obviously you talked about your goals for 2025, but I mean, I know you're young, you're 21, but do you kind of like, are you setting yourself up with the vision of having like a family in the future, and you're trying to do all this to kind of already have yourself like the
Exactly.
foundation laid out? Like, is that how you're thinking about it too?
Exactly. I want
Yeah.
to my life dream is to be a father one day and to be able to teach my son to become a better man than me. And
Wow.
maybe daughter as well. But I mean, as a guy,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have our
no.
biases. But I feel like growing up with the right woman and just having that love is so much value. And I feel like I want to work to that point. And it's not easy or free. Doesn't matter who says it is.
Yeah. So do you have a relationship with your father that he was kind of the same way, trying to make sure that you were a better man than he was and instilling all those values in you?
My father is, wow, my father is the best man that I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
I'm still meeting him today. And he he has gone through so much in life that I makes me understand him more and more as I grow up being with him and living with him as
Yeah.
him being my father. And I feel like when I was younger, I didn't understand things because I was a child and I still
Yeah.
am,
Which
at
is,
some
hey,
point.
that's natural.
Right.
There's
But wow, he's an amazing guy. Yeah.
oh,
Respect
that
him.
I love that. Yeah, my son has a great relationship with his dad, and they're like two peas in a pod. And I love that. It's like so important to have that son father
So important.
bond. And because, yeah, they're the role model. And, it's so I'm assuming, yeah, you're going to be the same way if you have either a son or a daughter. But do you have any siblings? So you said you had a brother. Do you have more siblings?
No, I just have one brother and he lives with my mom in New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. So how often do you guys get to see each other?
I basically see him on the holidays and
Okay.
just saw him for Thanksgiving and Christmas and he's he's such a awesome dude. He's like
How many years apart are you guys?
he's 19. He just turned 19.
Okay.
So 2 years apart and he's going to college at Bentley in Massachusetts. So
Nice.
he's working hard. He's a he's
That
a awesome guy. I'm not
I love that. Like just seeing you light up, like when you talk about your family. So your brother's going to college. So I'm assuming you took the just the entrepreneurial route from the get-go.
So what ended up happening was actually I was going to community college right out of high
Hmm.
school, and I was also working with my uncle as a tech.
Okay.
And remember how I explained that story about looking at that motorcycle?
Yeah,
So I ended up buying that same exact model of a motorcycle, but from somebody else. And
gotcha.
a couple months later, after getting my interview done with uh, the company that I was with, and being like, okay, should I enter this industry or not? I got into a motorcycle accident that put me in the hospital for a month. And my right calf, half of it is split in half, and the left side is wrapped around the front. So
Yeah,
I
I'm not a
was
fan of
behind in,
motorcycles.
yeah, I was behind in school, and wasn't going to work, and I started to gain a little bit of weight because I was laying down in bed, and
Yeah.
had no idea if I was able going to ever to be able to walk again. And after the hospital, I wasn't able to walk for a few months. And literally, at just as I started to be able to walk, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a chance and start this sales stuff. And if 6 months, if it doesn't work out, then I guess I'll just go back to doing what I was doing. And
Yeah. But see that's the story right there, John, is that you experienced something that made you realize that life can be taken away in a heartbeat in a second. And so that I feel like was that pivotal point for you of recognizing like, you know what? I almost lost my life, so what do I have to lose now, right? Like if
I,
going in
I
and
agree,
taking a risk.
but I also think that I've always had like I feel like every young man has this thought of they want to be like Tom Brady or somebody great.
Yeah.
But a lot of things that separate whether if they turn into that is the situations and the people that are around them that they are in. It,
Absolutely.
it,
I mean, obviously, it sounds like you have a very supportive family. Yes, like you said, the doubt, but I feel like a lot of that, John, has to do with just societal things and just societal narratives and pressures where everybody's made to believe that it's a W-2 corporate 9 to 5 job that's going to give you stability and give you that paycheck. But at the end of the day, like it's not necessarily true. But it is. the older generations that are kind of set in those ways. And I feel like millennials and then you're like the Gen Z, you guys like are definitely going to there's going to be a shift there because of so many of you are entrepreneurs and are changing the way people are making money.
You're right about that. There's
Yeah,
also, at the end of the day, though, a lot of people, the biggest thing of why I needed to switch around the mindset that my other company was working with and what I'm doing now is because that risk was so much entering the industry. They were telling me I wasn't going to get paid till 3 to 6 months later because that's how it would take for a
right.
job to go from knocking it to installing. So a lot of people who are excited, yeah, you can make 100 to 250K a year as a rep, also understand that, hey, it's going to take me risking, my car note. It's going to take me risking my rent because I don't have that income coming in order to pay my expenses as my life. So what I've created is a system where I can bring in people into the industry, but they necessarily don't have to immediately switch to all that risk. So where we can enable to bring you in and have you build yourself up and build the risk up in order to where it's not risky because you already understand and know what to do in order to create that income.
Yeah. Well, you seem like you really are a really good teacher. Like I feel like you're someone that whoever does you know, want to come in and try it with you. Like I feel like you'd be really good guide and someone that would really explain to them because you've lived it and you are
Right.
clearly very passionate about it, which is important because, let's be real too. There's a lot of people out there that kind of have that vibe that you're like, do I really trust this person? Can I really
Yep.
believe that they're telling me the truth? So like that's important too, right? Is putting you out there in a way that people understand that like you really are trying to help. So that's why I feel like it's so important for you to be able to kind of like I like that you shared your story with the motorcycle accident because people want to know that there's a why and there's a real true reason why you're trying to help others and do this. And so instead of it being like I'm just trying to make a ton of money, right?
I
Which
have a friend, Chris, who works with me right now, and he's one of my reps.
mhm.
He went from struggling in the real estate industry, obviously, because we had the inflations go up and he
Yeah.
did it at the worst time, to
Yeah, I'm
bring
I'm in the
him into the
mortgage
roofing
industry, so I
industry. Right.
understand.
Bring him into the roofing industry. And I don't mean to display Chris's numbers, but just these past 2 months, he's done over $250,000 in revenue. And seeing him be so happy and comfortable and being able to go to his families and
Yeah,
him telling me, John, thank you so much, man. Like it just warms my heart so much. And the connection that we have together is just so like, he's my brother now.
yeah,
Though we've only known each other for probably a half a year, like I can come to him and talk to him about stuff, and he comes to me and talks to me about stuff.
yeah.
It's just amazing what I'm thankful for what I'm able to do for other people, and I want to do that for so many other people that I can. It's amazing.
So let me
If I'm
get
saying,
like yeah, no, but I want to go in a little bit deeper with this because you were just talking about your dad, your brother, and then now your friend, and these are all male relationships.
yep,
And I feel like a lot of male relationships before were kind of like, yo, bro, whatever, and just kind of moving on and having that kind of surface level. Are do you find that at your age, like having those male relationships and being able to be vulnerable with each other, like, do you find that that's really important? Like, are you able to do that? Like, so with your buddy that you said you would do anything, like, do you guys get vulnerable and really get like real with each other and help each other out? Like
it's
on that
also
level.
when it comes to the way that like when you enter this industry, it is a massive toll. It's the hardest thing that you're going to ever do in your life. And the biggest thing that in order to support yourself is your mindset.
Hmm.
And I feel like when we have these deep conversations about mindset and how to think about things in a way that is positive rather than negative, we create a reward system for ourselves whenever things that go bad happen.
Hmm.
And we are able to look at it as rather, oh, pittiness, and rather as this is another reason that I can be great.
Yeah.
Another reason that, I can just continue to better myself. I don't know if I'm putting that correctly, but I feel like There's a word, and it was my old mentor that taught this. His name was Todd, and it's called affirmations.
Yeah.
And having different things set in place for, whenever you get emotional can help you not only in your personal life, but in relationships and in business. So I
So
feel like,
then when you said you get emotional, but are you able to reach out to any of your like friends and
yeah,
share that?
100%.
Or are you someone that's like, I'm a man, I gotta like just keep it in, or I gotta just like share these emotions with myself because God forbid anybody else sees me emotional. Like, I'm curious, are you able to have those type of male relationships?
I think that every young man goes through certain things that makes them think that they got to hold it in.
Hmm.
But most young men get to a point where they break, and they hold such an emotional thing. And when you break and you hold such an emotional like position inside of you, it just only affects you negatively, because now in order to solve that feeling quickly, you're picking up negative habits, and you aren't necessarily having correct things in place in order to soothe your emotions. Because when you're angry, you're super angry. When you're sad, you're super sad. And then you almost become emotionally unintelligent, my bad.
Yeah.
So I feel like the biggest thing that I have for where I'm at is being able to talk to people about things that are going wrong in my life. Because if I
Yeah.
bottle them up and I hold them up and nobody understands why I'm mad or angry, and I'm just emotional in the office, and it's just not like what's going on.
Yeah.
It
Well,
creates a
yeah.
sense of uncomfortability for the people that are around me, and I feel like the biggest thing that I want to give is peace and comfortability to the people around me because I love them.
Yeah.
So I should just talk
Well,
to them.
yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's why I asked that because you're in a very stressful position. You own and operate a business. You're responsible for other people. Like you want to start this program where you're coaching others. Like that's a lot to take on. So if you're not able to process your emotions or be able to talk about them, like, yeah, at some point you are going to break, you're going to explode. And you don't want that because that could affect your business, affect everything around you. So that's why I was like curious, like how you're doing that because it's only going to get it's going to get more difficult as you get older. And then if you take on a wife and kids, I mean, like,
You're right.
so I
And it's
feel like
also
if you have that now, you'll be better off.
it, I just backing away and stepping away is the best thing that you can do whenever you're in an emotional state. There's
Yeah.
a it's a stoic saying, and it's basically, and it revolves around emotions. If you don't know if you should say something, don't say it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No, yeah. That's why they say if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
Yeah, right, right, yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Gosh, you are like a wealth of knowledge. I might have to come to you and like ask for advice at some point myself. But I wanted you to be able to have the opportunity to close this out in any way that you'd like. Anything that you wanted to share that you didn't, anything, just
Um,
before we end this.
that's a great question. Something that I want to share to, like, what type of thing would you like me to share?
Well, I mean, the point of this podcast is I want other 18 to 24-year-olds to listen in and to be able to pick anything up like a golden nugget, some advice, inspiration, anything.
Right.
And clearly, you're someone that is at age 21 already owns a business and entrepreneur. So maybe there's something there for others that are trying to do the same thing, like maybe something that you would.
I will say that mistakes teach you more than trying to avoid the mistake, because then you understand not only what really is that consequence of the mistake, but you learn how to prevent it from happening in the future.
Yeah,
So even if it's taking a risk, like, the hardest thing for people to take is action, whether if it's
yeah,
doing something like going to the gym or starting a clothing brand, or doing something like that. If you just take action, try it, doesn't work, scramble, do something else, like there's no way that you won't be successful. Like success is so easy because it just requires action. If you
Wow.
don't have the right things put in place, you are going to fail. You will make mistakes.
Yeah.
Like for me, I didn't understand the value of coaching and paying for coaching for people that already made mistakes. And I realize now that that information and the reason I pay for it isn't because I'm paying for the information. It's because that information holds value. And why should they give me that information for free? I need to show that I'm willing to put in work for myself for somebody to want to put in work on me.
Yeah.
So, like learning from the people that are doing what you want to do and avoiding the people who are doing the things that you don't want to do. Your friends are everything. There's a saying, if you have five friends who are smoking weed, you'll be the sixth. If you have five friends who have other negative habits, you'll be
Hmm.
the sixth. If you have five friends who are going into a bad investment, you'll be the sixth. But if you have five friends who have Lamborghinis, you'll be the sixth. If you have five friends who have loving families, you'll be the sixth. Put
Yeah.
yourself around the right people and be the leader.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were the person you wanted to actually be, and how happy would you feel? And who are those people that you need to run? My bad, I'm talking so much.
No, I'm taking this all in because what you're saying is so true. And unfortunately, I'm someone that at age 49, doing the therapy, I'm finally doing the work. Like it's taking me decades to figure that out. Like you're someone that has that figured out at age 21, and there's a lot of young adults your age that are figuring this out earlier. And so I just am like, the fact that you have it figured out earlier only means that you're going to even be able to accomplish even more and do more things that make you happy and hopefully do more things that give back, right? Because that's another thing too, is like for me, giving back is really important. And yeah, you can be successful, you can make all this money, you can do all these great things, but if you're not giving back to the community or giving back to people in some way, then I feel like a little bit of that is lost on that person,
I
like of why you
1,000% agree.
live and what life is all about. So
I feel like one day when I'm older and I'm, in my 30s or 40s and I've accomplished what I needed to do, I would love to be able to help other guys who are in positions that they want to get out of do that exact same thing. I would just, I've created a process where I can turn, struggling people into changing their families and their families' lives and being able to just go home, turn on the TV, and be able to relax.
yeah.
That's a very hard concept nowadays because everybody's stressing.
Yeah. Well, this is fantastic. I mean, obviously, like when I put this out, well, like all the information and everything. But either way, thank you for coming on. I'll have to have you back on because I want to hear like repeat like what's happening in everybody's life. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you so much,
Like,
Pearl. It was great talking to you.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
have
All
such
right.
a beautiful aura, by the way. Just letting you know.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Um,
I'm kind of like I feel like a lot of times I'm like a little kid trapped in a 49-year-old body a lot of times. And so I have a lot of energy and I'm very kind of like all over the place, but um that I have to honor just who I am and that's who I am. So so be it.
did you
All
have
right.
a? Oh, is that it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna just stop recording so that we have a couple minutes just to say goodbye
If
to
you
each
enjoyed
other.
this episode and you're between the ages of 18 and 24 and would like to be a featured guest, go to rock.vision. Until next week.